Hello, and welcome to today's September 25th second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update. Today, we will cover Nancy Pelosi says she will not attempt to impeach President Trump, stimulus negotiations between Nancy Pelosi and Stephen Mnuchin have resumed and have positive traction, and a new bill will be released and voted on with stimulus checks this coming week. If you're a subscribed member of my community, then welcome back. And if you're not, consider subscribing right now for all the best updates on stimulus, words of encouragement, and smart money tips. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, can I just say how grateful I was to read that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in an interview yesterday that she will not pursue articles of impeachment against President Trump. This would have been a disaster. This would have distracted from the stimulus negotiations. He may or may not even be voted in less than 40 days. So it would have been a major, major distraction. And honestly, I think that I think things would have been done. I think things would have been dead when it comes to the stimulus packages. So now, when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked in the interview if she would pursue articles of impeachment, she simply said, "I don't think he's worth trouble at this point." So, great. Let's move on. Let's get back to the stimulus because it's the people who are in need of help, not the politicians. Okay, now, speaking of Nancy Pelosi, she announced that she plans to finally put her $2 trillion plan into writing. That way it can be reviewed by all of the people in the House of Representatives. That way it can be reviewed in the Senate. And it can also be voted on. I think that many Democrats and Republicans were having a hard time rallying around her 2 months of crying for $2.2 trillion because there was nothing in writing. Like, that's a huge number with no details to back up why you needed that number, right? It would be like putting an offer in on a house and saying, your house is worth $500,000. I would like to buy it for $100,000, and then give no reason why. Oh, there's a leaky roof or all new plumbing, or there had to be something in writing. So that's coming, right? So that's good news, because really Nancy Pelosi holds a lot of power, and the ball has been in her court, but there's just been nothing in writing, and now it will be in writing, and it can now be debated in the House of Representatives, and it can be debated in the Senate. So those numbers are coming. Okay, now I mentioned earlier this week that Stephen Mnuchin was going to be testifying before Congress, and yesterday there was a subcommittee that he testified before called the Senate Banking Committee. And in there, Mnuchin said that he and Pelosi had spoken maybe 15 to 20 times just in the last few days. Now, this is what I call negotiating, right? Where there's actual communication between parties. They're saying, hey, we want this, or we need this, or you've gone too far on this, right? There's those concessions, the needs, the wants, the communication, the getting it out on the table. That is now happening, right? Like, seriously, think about how many times they talked in the last 60 days. And now, Mnuchin said under oath that they have communicated 15 to 20 times in just the last few days. So the ball is finally moving, right? Okay, now I also let you know that Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve also testified before Congress to this same Senate Banking Committee. And he said that there is a need for more stimulus. But let me just pull one of the quotes from his testimony before this congressional committee. He said, if people start to run through its resources, then they are at risk of losing their homes or having to move out of the place they are renting, maybe moving back in with family. And those things are not necessarily good for controlling the spread of the virus. Powell continued, the CARES Act really did a lot of good in putting money in people's hands and keeping them in their homes and keeping them spending, keeping them in one piece. Going forward, more of that may be needed. So Jerome Powell is saying, listen, we got to look at this from a monetary standpoint. We've got to look at this from a keeping Americans stable, keeping those family situations stable. We also have to look at this from a spreading the virus standpoint. And all three of those would be helped or mitigated or lessened if people just have enough money to be able to stay in their house while they look for a new job, while the economy gets moving again, right? So he was very much in favor of that. Now, I've got more to share with you, but if you've liked this video up to this point, will you do me a favor and give it a like? That way YouTube will share it with others. It's the only way they know whether to share my videos or not. And please share this on Facebook. I know people have been waiting for Nancy Pelosi to put pen to paper, and I'm here to tell you that she has finally said it's going to happen, right? I've been waiting since the end of July to tell you this. So this is good news. This is a big deal, right? It's not gone as fast as any of us in the community have wanted, but we're here now at this moment, right? Okay, now I hope that whatever Nancy Pelosi releases next week will be fair and will lean more towards the people and less towards any kind of pet project or unnecessary spending at this time. If it comes in at, let's say, 2.4 trillion, that's a number that I read, I think that both parties should sign and just get this money out to the people, right? And here's why. The Democrats are going to look like, hey, we came down $1 trillion, but we still fought for our people and we got a deal done. The Republicans can say, hey, we came up $1.4 trillion and we fought for our people and we can still get a deal done. So I think both parties end up looking good to their voter base, if their voter base isn't switching at this point, and to the American people to finally get that financial assistance that they've been needing for months, right? So I say just get the deal done, right? You came down, we came up, we both look good, boom, let's move forward and help the people. Now, here's what is believed to be inside of Nancy Pelosi's New Deal. A second stimulus check direct to the people. Unemployment for several months, helping tens of millions of Americans get through this while they find employment and get off of unemployment. It's believed that there will be money for rent assistance, hopefully something for landlords and mortgage holders as well. It's believed that there will be a large amount of money to help schools reopen safely. As soon as I have these details, I will come on here and review them and then reveal them to the community. The whole process has become so political and nasty. I hate that we've all kind of been dragged through the mud this way. And it took me several months. I finally figured out why there's a national coin shortage here in the United States. And it's because so many of us have created a swear jar while watching these politicians fight like children. So anyway, okay, now speaking of arguing politicians, I just want to let you know that this coming Tuesday is the first presidential debate between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. I recommend that you watch this and become informed on each candidate and their position and their plan for the next 4 years. That way you can be educated before you go to the voting polls. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for on my channel, but I will say it's going to be important to vote for the president and especially to vote for those in Congress who have their seat up for election. Congress has really dragged their feet during these last few months. Anyway, as we go into the weekend, I just want to remind you that you are amazing. Unless something big comes up, I won't come on with another update until Monday. I appreciate you being in my community, and I'll see you on the next video.